In this unit, we've been exploring the world of biochemistry, the molecules of life, and most of those molecules are carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. And so we've taken a closer look at what makes up those molecules, how they're similar, and how they're different. So we started by taking a look at a simple, small molecule that we're familiar with, water, H2O. H2O is the molecular formula. It tells you the number of each type of atom in the molecule. It's kind of like a parts list. The structural formula on the right shows the arrangement of the atoms in the molecule. You can see that the hydrogen atoms are off to one side closer together, and they're bonded with those green lines to the oxygen atom. And that actually shows you how the atoms are put together to form the molecule. And so when we looked at counting calories, what we were really looking at is how much energy is in the food that you eat or that you burn when you do particular activities. And so there's a difference between these heat calories, which is the amount of energy to heat water, and food calories, which are a larger amount of energy. So 1,000 heat calories equals 1 food calorie. And when we broke the different foods, we noticed that if there was more food and you broke more bonds, that released more energy. So the temperature went up by a greater amount. If you had smaller amounts of food or those foods contained less fat, they released less energy. So a calorie is really a measurement of the energy in molecules. We also noticed that there was difference. Some didn't have any energy. Things like water we don't break apart. But carbohydrates and protein, they have 4 calories per gram, whereas fat has 9 calories per gram. So some foods, like watermelon, have a lot of water and a little bit of carbohydrate, so they don't have a lot of energy, so they have a low caloric density. Whereas some foods, like an almond, that have fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, not a lot of water, they have a high caloric density, so they'd be high energy foods. You can see here's another picture that, for the same amount of energy, 150 calories, cherry tomatoes, you can get a lot of those, whereas cashews, there's very, very few there. So this little chart here shows us that water, carbon dioxide, and other small molecules don't really provide any energy because those bonds aren't broken, whereas sugar and starch, which are carbohydrates, as well as proteins, all have 4 calories per gram, whereas fat has 9 calories per gram. So the molecules that are in your food really do determine the amount of energy that you can get from that food.